Okay, so what you see here is a collection of folders that are inside of the main root directory for kinlandschool.com. Because I'm not giving you guys your own domains, you will access your website through a URL that's an extension of kinlandschool.com, and I've set you all up with folders inside of a folder named Kinlan Student. Okay, so that's what we're about to connect to, and you're getting the very abridged version where I don't explain file transfer protocol, and if you want to go see that, you can watch the longer lecture. But let's go ahead and do that. So in Dreamweaver, we can close that example I was showing you. You would go to your final project website. Okay, so I have one set up already as like an example. Okay, and it's one of my sites in Manage Sites. So you would go to Manage Sites and go and edit the Dreamweaver site that you have set up for your final project. Okay, so you can go to that through here. You can go to Site and go to it through here. And once you get in there, you're going to see way fewer sites than I have here. I have a ton of them set up in my machine. You probably would only see maybe 2, possibly 3 if you still have the site set up for your test. You would see your demo site, your test site, and now your final project Dreamweaver site, which is just Dreamweaver connecting to the site folder on your computer. If you don't have that set up, you need to set that up to make this server connection. I'm not going to show you how to do that now or in this video because you should already know how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on the site that is my final project. And at this point, you've only really gone into here, into this window, and you've named the site. You've given the connection that Dreamweaver has with this folder on your computer a name. And then you've gone to the folder where your site is. So one of the things I want to make clear to you guys, this folder, despite my harping on throughout the semester that you have to never name any folders having to do with your website with any capital letters or spaces, it really doesn't matter how you've set up the name or location for that folder as long as you're connected to it here, because you're just transferring the stuff inside the folder from this location to a remote location on the web. So the folder you're actually going to be putting it into on the web is just your last name. And if you have the same last name as somebody, and I think there's only a couple sets across my sections, it would be your last name underscore your first initial. Okay, so it's all small letters, no capitals. Your last name is the folder. A few students have already been questioning that because they're like, well, wait a minute, the folder is not the same name as the root directory for the folder for my site on my computer. That's okay, all right? I still think it's a best practice to always name your folder with all small letters, no spaces, because that's the way you should be naming everything in the entire site. It just so happens that once you make a connection through file transfer protocol, you're transferring the contents of one root directory from inside of it to another. The name of the top level folder doesn't really matter. It's just the stuff that's in it. So you're going to be going to a folder on the web named, let's use Braden as an example, Seabrook, okay? But that does not mean you change this to your last name. Somebody's already done that. And I'm like, no. This is the folder on your computer that I'm connected to locally here in my folder, which is sites, and then I have this connection to it. Okay, you don't mess with that. If it's working and you see your files, it's done. Now mine's actually empty because I'm just doing this as an example, but what you're going to do is go to servers, okay? And under servers, you will have nothing. Okay, I've already done this in another section, so I just removed that. You'll have nothing there, okay? You will hit the plus button, and you will add these credentials, and you will call it remote server. Okay, you can name it anything you want, but because you're connecting to the remote server, and that's when you click the drop down here, that's actually what Dreamweaver calls it, is the remote server. That's what I want you guys to call it. Okay, so in these 3 boxes, what you're going to put are these first 3 credentials. Cap sensitive, exactly as you see them here. Okay, so I've typed the first 2 credentials in here, FTP address, username, make sure you don't have typos. Now here I go capital KIN and then lowercase stu, the year 2013, and then the %sign. Do not hit save yet. At this point, just hit test. And when you hit test, you should see this, okay? There are only 2 reasons you wouldn't see this. You have a typo or you're not connected to the internet because the credentials I'm giving you are correct, okay? These are the 3 items that go in there. If you type them in right, exactly as you see them here, cap sensitive, all that stuff, no spaces, same characters, you'll hit test and it should connect. Okay. Okay, so assuming you put these first 3 things in correctly, and again, I'm in servers here, so I'm doing a server definition. This is the part that'll be different for every student. And it's really simple. It's your last name, okay? So I'm going to connect to Braden's just as an example in this class. Did I spell your last name right? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, and then I'll break the connection off. So you don't upload your site because I'm going to use yours as an example. So just once you connect, that's fine. We can both be connected. You can make site connections on multiple computers. So I'm going to hit test again to make sure I'm still connecting. So what I did was I connected into this folder. Okay, so you're all connected into this folder now, which means if I were to go back out to the main folder, you're all part of this folder. Once you put your last name in, then you're part of your own little root directory. So if you guys are really savvy and you wanted to start screwing around with other students' sites, you can see how easy that would be. And I've always told students that, like, openly, and no one's ever really bothered to do it. Because why? It seems to me that you guys have a hard enough time getting your stuff up there by the time it's due. So nobody's up there messing around with somebody else's. So as long as you hit test and it worked, you're in. And as you did this, it probably didn't populate this address the same as I have it here, okay? It typically will populate an address, but because I've given you guys a specific login that only puts you into this folder, this is like this because I'd made this ahead of time already. You don't need that in there. You don't really need that. Okay, I'm going to give you the final item here that you need. You can put it in there if you want, or you can just make a note of it or put it in your favorites so you can always get to your folder. This is the domain. This is the domain part of it. This is the full URL to get to your website now that you've created this connection. So if you want to put that in there, you can do that, and you just have to make sure, that you change that last part to be your last name, okay? So you put that in, and that's not going to change the connection at all, and then at that point you can just hit save, okay? So you've saved the connection to your remote server, and you'll get this message. You'll likely get this message. It'll come up and say the cache has now been created. You've changed the name of your root folder. Just click OK. This is fine. You've made a server connection, so it's going to adjust the cache accordingly. So click OK, and now nothing will change. You won't see anything change. Nothing will happen. But now, if you click on the drop-down and you go to a remote server, you can actually view what you have on the web in that folder. So Braden doesn't have anything in there yet. So don't upload your site yet, okay? I'm gonna go. You want to stick on local view in general. Go back to local view. I'm gonna very quickly create just a blank file. Like, let's go the orange background with like a gray text. Okay. Hi, Mom. Look, I got a website. So, I mean, obviously, this is nothing you'd ever actually put online for people to see. I'm just trying to demonstrate to you guys. That doesn't look like heading 1. Oh, maybe I still had heading 1 in there, I think. So I'm going to save this as index, okay? And it should, I should be going right to my main root folder, okay? If you're working on stuff in your pages folder, I mean, we've gone over all this. Just make sure you're saving things in the right place. With it still open, it doesn't even matter if it's open or not. I can click on a file, use this button, and I can upload it. If you want to upload your entire site, click on the top level folder here, click this button, and it uploads the whole site. And it actually asks you, do you want to put the whole site? Just click OK. All right, so that would upload my pages folder, everything in there, like every single thing. If I want to upload just the pages folder, I can click on the folder and upload the folder. If I want to upload just a file, I can click on the file and upload that. So obviously now at this point, you're already realizing as I make changes to my files, if I want to see them on the web, I got to upload them. So now, if I go to kinlandschool.com/Kinlan student, okay, hang on one second. I'm going to delete that from the remote server because I want you to see. If I go there and then go to my last name Okay, if I haven't put anything up yet, this is the message you'll get. This is kind of the standard message you get from a browser in the case that nothing's there, right? So as soon as I upload something, and I'm just going to go back to local view, okay? So you can see I'm switching around from remote to local a lot to show you how simple it is. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to go here. I'm going to refresh. It's there. That's how simple this is. If you're uploading the entire site, it might take you a little longer, okay? But it should work the same way. Now in local view, I'm going to delete index. Let's say that I've screwed up a file and I got to get back to the way it was, and I haven't updated a version in my raw folder lately, but I just uploaded it yesterday to the remote server. You can go here and sit on the file and download it and get it from the remote server. Okay? When you're downloading and uploading files, this is another message you may get often. If you're not uploading the entire site, you may be uploading a file like index that has a CSS file associated with it and a bunch of image files. If you agree to put dependent files, this one doesn't have any, but it's just an automatic prompt you get from Dreamweaver. If you agree to put dependent files through, you'll actually have all those files upload with it. If you don't do that, then you might miss your CSS and think something's wrong. It just means the file's not on the server yet. So now you can see in my local view, I have my index file back. And if you have the file here in the local area, and you want the version from the remote server, you can sit on it in local and use the get button. So this is download and this is upload. And as soon as you make that connection in managed sites, you can start putting your files online. Okay? It's that simple. So the one thing before I end this mini version of the lecture that the other guys got, I do want you to see that we still are having issues with the Kinlan School domain, because historically there was a virus on this server, okay? And browsers like Chrome, so we use Chrome, are really good at keeping track of this stuff. So if I were to try and load up Braden's little mini index page in there, just let my Chrome and my million windows open up here. Okay, so when I try and go to Braden's little mini index page, this is what happens, okay? This may happen to you in other browsers as well. This may happen to you as a result of your virus protection earlier in the fall originally flagging this as a bad server. Now, I guarantee you there are no issues here. So what you can do in Chrome, for example, and it's similar in other browsers, I'm just going to show you in Chrome, there should be some area where you can check to bypass this or get around it. So in Chrome, if you go to Advanced and you click at Proceed on your own risk, it will go there. Okay? So it's not a big deal. And if it really annoys you, use another browser, because Firefox has already figured out that there's no issues. In Firefox, it would load right up. If you have virus protection software on your computer that has flagged this or put it into an area where you're not supposed to be allowed to go there, that's easy to fix as well. There's no way I could demo all the different types of virus protection software and how to clean out your history in there, but usually with virus protection software, there's a section where you're virus protecting on the web and web content, and if you go in there, it'll probably have this domain in a list, or you could just turn down your security settings a bit. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to get a million emails about this. You just got to bypass it and get around it, okay, because this is the server we're using. And as you can see, it works. Final thing I want to show you here. If you put something like that up on the web and then you delete it on your computer, right, because I don't actually want that file here. If I'm Braden, I actually want to set up my, well, you should have connected to the folder where your website already was, but let's pretend I haven't started my project yet. That's obviously not going to be my index page, so I'm going to delete it and get rid of it. That does not mean on the web that it's deleted. If I refresh here, it's still there. So if you have a file named Indiana, for example, and you have some web page on like road biking routes, and then you delete the page from your website on your machine on Dreamweaver, and you never bother to remake another page called Indiana, that page will always still be in your remote server, and if somebody tried to go there, they would still be able to access it. So this is dangerous because you don't want stuff in your website that you're never going to update. Okay? So if you know you have something on the remote server that shouldn't be there, you should go and delete that too, or you should just get in the habit of, as you're editing it and changing it around a lot, always uploading the entire site, which means you're clicking on the top level folder. So just to show you an example of this in action, okay, if I were to go to the remote server for one of my other websites that's actually on, I'm going to delete everything in here, that's on the Kinlan School server. Okay, and if I jump back over here and I show you in my hosting platform, FTP manager, I have a folder here called Exchange-Tradewinds. Okay, this is for an exchange program. I actually also have a domain set up for this. So I don't have to go to a URL where it's kinlanschool.com/exchange-tradewinds to get to it, although it will still go to it. Okay, and this is one of the reasons you want to set up a canonical, which is something I'll have a video posted for. I don't get into it too much before the end of the semester, but it's one of those, after the course is over, if you keep working on websites, it's a skill you should pick up. So right now, if I go there, okay, kinlanschool.com, for example, exchange-tradewinds, okay, nothing comes up because I've just deleted the entire site. All right, so if I go back here to Dream and I go to the local view, I want to upload the entire site, all the page. If I just wanted to do the pages folder, that's fine. If I just did the index folder, here, check this out. Let's just do the index folder. So now, on the remote server, on the web, if I load that up, okay, that's not supposed to work actually. That's only doing that because it was in my cache still, so it showed the CSS. But if I refresh it, this is what's up there now. The content's all there, but I haven't uploaded my CSS file yet. No big deal. It just means it doesn't know where to put anything. I don't have any of the images yet. No big deal, okay? So I go here. I don't want to just upload index. I want to upload the entire site. And had I put dependent files up with index, it would have put only the images and the CSS specific to that file up there. So I'm going to click upload. And it asks me if I want to put the entire site. I'm going to click yes, and then I'll unpause on it. If you're uploading your entire site, it does take a bit of time. I mean, especially if you have some large image files in there, some media files. But within the time span of probably less than 2 minutes, when I go back here and hit refresh, I'm going to start to see images. Okay? And eventually, if I keep refreshing, I am going to see my CSS. There you go. It's all up. Whole website's up. So this is worth 7 points at on your final project. Okay, if you jump over to, okay, so I'm in course content for this course. If you go to the final project module, final project details, and scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that list that I've given to you guys halfway through the term. You've had this forever. Website fully live on the World Wide Web, 7 points. So literally, guys, I'm asking you to put in 4 items in a server definition for your credentials, click a button, and you get 7 points on your final project, okay? I don't want to hear the reasons why it wasn't done. This is the second video version I'm making of it, so it's a bit shorter for people if they're in a hurry. This is what we've done here. And then to end it off, and I've covered in this video how to get around that whole stupid thing with the Kinlan School domain if you're having issues with that. As I've explained, you guys don't have your own domains, so you have to go with the Kinlan School extension. If you buy hosting space and you buy domains with the same hosting company, you can then go and connect those to specific folders on your server so that they go to that root directory. So this is why you want to set up a canonical so that search engines know that this is where you want your traffic to be analyzed, not at kinlanschool.com/exchange-tradewinds in case someone were to actually access your files that way. Most people wouldn't. I mean, you advertise your website a certain way, and that's the only place it goes. So, and that's done with a little tiny file inside your server, your root directory, called an htaccess file. This is whether you're doing WordPress or a standard HTML site. I'm going to have a video posted on that in the advanced playlist, but typically the best way to set that up is just to call your hosting company and make sure that they have it set up right, because it is a bit tricky. It's a very simple little code, but it's funky, and sometimes it changes from one hosting company to another. But do you guys understand what happened there? How that domain is actually going to this folder? If I show you quickly here, I'll do this to end the video. Why is it making me go back in there? Okay. You know, I'm not even going to worry about it. It's set up in another configuration area in my GoDaddy platform for any of my domains to go to specific folders. And it's the same reason when I've showed you that if I go to grandbentontario.ca/endless surf, which is a folder where I have the Endless Surf website, I'm going to access this folder right now, okay, right here, and I'm trying to find an index page. I've set up in my configuration of my hosting platform for endlesssurf.ca to also ultimately, the destination of that is that folder, so it loads up the same page. This is not two different locations, okay? It's the same page in the same folder, one using the URL extension of grandbentontario.ca, one using this. So you guys don't have a domain like that, but what you do have, okay, if I go back to my sample here, and I'll go in there one more time, go to your site definition, servers, remote server, you have a connection into this folder, into a folder by your last name, okay, so you just have to go to that full extension. So that then is how you get there. If you want to send people a link to your site, this is how they get there, and you just adjust that last part. And that's how you continue to go and check to see what you have up there, okay?